The bill is coming, so the sooner you quit, the better. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing Never Binge Again. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my resources below, and if you want to speak with me, there is a link in the box. Let's talk about this book. This is Never Binge Again by Glenn Livingston. He is a PhD. He has his own Facebook group. It's a pretty big Facebook group at this point, and this book has several thousand reviews. I read it about 4 years ago, and I go through it once in a while. It's a pretty good book, but I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like. Let's get to it. The one thing that I don't like is the squealing pig. It's just not my favorite analogy. This pig that has run amok in your brain, and it's making you do things that you don't want to do, and it's making you eat slop. According to Livingston, there's this pig that's running around in your brain, and it's making you eat food that you shouldn't eat. He refers to junk food as slop, like really dirty stuff, something that only a pig would eat. And he refers to that voice in your head as the pig, and it's in a capital P, the pig. You have to reject the pig and keep the pig where it belongs. I don't like personifying eating disorders. I don't like it when we refer to an eating disorder or just disordered eating, whatever, as a third person, as some other entity, as some external force. You are the one that is in charge of moving your hands and moving your mouth. Nothing else. Nobody can make you. There's no voice that can make you do it. There's no trigger that can make you do it. There's no pig running around. Now, I know he's using the pig as an analogy. Okay, the pig is the binge eating disorder, okay? Maybe he did it to make it easy to understand. I just don't like it when we say that there's this thing in your head and it's making you consume all this food. The reason why you consume all this food is because it feels good. It's an escape, you numb out, it's entertaining, it elevates your mood temporarily, it releases feel-good neurotransmitters. There are a lot of good reasons to do it in the moment. There's also a lot of good reasons not to do it. It's a horrible trade-off that you're making because you're consuming all this and it makes you feel good, but it's damaging every other part of your life. But this super high that you get is so appealing, so alluring that it feels like you can't stop. I don't think there's some pig in your head. I think you're just making a bad trade-off. This is how Livingston describes it. The pig is not you. It is a conceptual, animalistic entity which misdirects your survival drive towards food behaviors that do not serve your best interests and causes you to keep changing your mind about your commitments. So he talks about survival cues, and that's the second point. I think there's more to this than urges and like a survival mechanism that has run amok. If you haven't already watched my review of Brain on Revenge, it talks about urges and survival mechanisms in the brain. And according to that model, your brain sees binge eating as a necessary feature of existence. Like you have to do it. It's like breathing air or sleeping. And it sends these really strong urges to consume it. But I think what's missing from that is desire and your active desire. What I mean is you want to do it. You really like that stimulus. You like that alternative reality that you're in. Like when you're binging, you're just not really thinking about anything. It's just this, again, this alternative world that you're living in. You forget everything, nothing exists, there are no limits, there are no consequences. I mean, who wouldn't want to live in a world without limits and consequences? And that alternative world that lasts about 20 or 30 minutes, it's fun, okay? It's like being on a roller coaster, it's like doing drugs. That's why people have a hard time stopping this, because it's so much more exciting than anything else that you have in your life. You can't watch a movie, listen to a podcast, talk to a friend, take a bubble bath. Nothing quite replaces binge eating. And that's what makes recovery so hard sometimes, is that there is no alternative. Nothing can replicate that. But you love that high. You love the numbing out so much that you don't see how you can live without it. And that's the real barrier to recovery. It's not the pig, it's not the urges, it's how am I going to live? The biggest barrier to recovery is not the pig, it's not the urges, it's this question that you have. How will I live without this? I have to have it. It's this feature of my life. I'm so used to it. It's like a good friend. Problem is, it's not a good friend because he's robbing you. He's taking everything else that you have, your goals, your dreams, your fitness, body image, everything. Yeah, we need to start seeing this in terms of trade-offs. What is it that you want more? And when you're in the moment, you want the food more than anything else. The problem isn't survival urges, it's untamed desire. Livingston writes, "The pig squeal may seem rational on its surface, but it never is. Never as in never, ever, ever, ever." I think it is rational. You're saying, I want this right now more than I want this later. It's all about time preference. What is more valuable? And when you're bulimic or you're a binge eater or you have any sort of addictive like behavior, you are valuing today more than anything. Your time preference is kind of screwed up. But it is a rational decision. It is a deliberate decision. You say, I'm going to have this now and then I'll work on these other goals later. I want to be fit. I want to be lean. I want to be attractive. I want to go to grad school. I want to do well in my job, whatever your goals are, but not right now. I can delay that because right now, what I want more than anything is a ton of fat and a ton of sugar. It is a rational decision. It's just not a healthy one, and it's not a good one. And there are costs to all of the decisions that we make. If you don't have all of this food right now, great. You're not going to have the entertainment. You're not going to have that high or that escape. But you'll have everything else. On the other hand, if you have all the fat, if you have all the sugar, it's going to be fun, but you're sacrificing everything else. What do you want? Livingston writes, "There is never a good reason to binge." Well, it depends on what your definition of good is. There's never a healthy reason to binge. I would say that. Binging is never a healthy thing to do. But to say that there's never a good reason, well, what if you want to escape? What if you want the entertainment? What if it makes you feel good? What if it's your reward? What if that's the way that you reward yourself? Again, it's not moral. It's not good or bad. It's just our actions have costs and they have benefits. And if you like the benefits of binge eating, keep doing it as long as you know what the costs are. I can promise you if you continue it, you're not going to like it because the bill is going to come someday. It's already come. You step on the scale, you don't like the number. You look in the mirror, you don't like what you see. Maybe your blood sugar is a little elevated, but still, those are minor consequences. What happens later when it starts turning into heart disease and diabetes, increased stroke risk? Here's a question that Livingston poses. Will you choose to live your life as a slave to the pig's impulses, pig with a capital P, and demands, or put the animal in its cage so you can exercise your human freedom? So I like the emphasis on choice, and that's really what this is. It's about choice. What are you going to choose right now? What are you going to choose later? What is it that you really want? Are you going to discount the future or are you not? What are you going to value more? So we're talking about time preference, we're talking about cost, we're talking about benefits. And when you're a binge eater, I think your priorities and your preferences are all screwed up. And your priorities should be health, should be your fitness, should be your career goals, it should be relationships, all the things that bring long-term satisfaction. But you have elevated this temporary escape over everything, and you're willing to sacrifice all that just to go into this alternative world for 30 to 45 minutes. I get it, it's fun, it's alluring, but the sooner you stop, the better. And you're going to have to accept a life without this. And that's good. You should be excited about that. You shouldn't say that with remorse. I had this really bad attitude when I was trying to recover. I thought, man, it's going to be so boring and my life is going to be lame. What am I going to do? And then once you stop, you realize how much better things are. You can focus better. You're not wasting time. Your pants fit better. Everything improves. You just don't have this 30 minutes, maybe an hour of fun. That's it. That's all you're sacrificing. You're sacrificing your whole life just to escape for a little bit. It's a really expensive form of entertainment if you think about it. I don't like how he refers to the impulses and demands as the pigs. There's no pig. Okay? That voice is your voice. That desire is your desire. You do it because you want to do it. And you see it as the best choice in the moment. The last point I'm going to make here is about discomfort. And one of the things you have to accept as part of recovery is the discomfort. Not physical discomfort, but that feeling that something is missing. You have this void, you have this vacuum, and that's how you feel in the early phases of recovery. You feel like, hey, what am I doing with all my free time? What happened to that influx of fat and sugar? What happened to all the fun? What happened to all the entertainment? You haven't filled it with something else. And really, nothing can fill that. It's going to take time for your brain to change. It's going to take time for your preferences to change. But you have to expose yourself to a world without binge eating. You have to show yourself that you can do it. You have to start ignoring that desire. So you have this desire, you want to do it, and then you do something else. And when you do that, there's going to be a gap. Okay, there's this void. I don't know how else to explain it, and it sucks at first. And it's really easy to succumb to it and say, okay, one more day, one more day, one more day, one more week. Well, I said that for 10 years. 10 years, okay? It wasn't just one more day. That's a lie that you tell yourself to justify today's binge. Well, it's the last time, next week. You're always looking for a reason to do it today. We're really good at justifying bad behavior. Livingston writes, be willing to tolerate any level of discomfort to keep your solemn vow, but stay nourished, warm, and hydrated to keep this to a minimum. I'm not sure how well that helps, but kill cravings, don't get high with food, end of story. Well, the thing is, you can't kill a craving. Okay, we can't always control our cravings, we can't always control our thoughts. What we can do is change the way that we react to those cravings. How seriously do we take a craving? You shouldn't act on every craving. Just because you have a craving for something doesn't mean you should do it. Our brains are kind of stupid. They're trying to get us to tomorrow. That's it. That's all the brain cares about. You want to be fit and have a great relationship and have a great career, but you're thinking like 10, 20 years into the future. That hindbrain, most of your brain is thinking about, hey, can we get to tomorrow? I think a better solution is to not act on the cravings. Okay, change your desire, change your preferences. If you don't have the desire, if you don't have that craving, you'll never do it. Killing desire, diminishing that desire, that is the ultimate solution. You don't have to fight urges, you don't have to negotiate, you don't have to think about it if you don't have the desire. I have no desire for alcohol, I never have, so I don't have to fight cravings for alcohol. I don't have to think about it. If I go to a party and there's a ton of alcohol, not a problem. Why? Because I have no desire for it. If I had desire for it, it would be a problem. I would have to modify my environment. I would have to skip social events. Desire is everything. And killing that desire, diminishing that desire over time, that's what you need to do. And if you need help doing that, book a call. I promise. It sucks at first, but it gets better over time. That desire will fade. It will go away. You don't have to deal with this forever. I have many more points to make about this book. I think I'll make part 2 in the next couple of weeks. Have you read Never Binge Again? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my resources below. If you liked this video, I'm sure you'll like one of the other videos that you see on the screen. Click one of them and I'll see you there.